Hello, my name is Van Smith, managing partner here at Smith Strong, and I had the occasion recently to visit Red Hill, which was the final home and now resting place of Patrick Henry, the governor of Virginia and also a general of the Virginia forces in the Continental Army. And I was there on my way to North Carolina and said, why don't we stop here and take a little walk? And of course, my son rolled his eyes and said, why? But soon we knew why. As we got out of the car, there was a gentleman there in period garb, and it turned out it was an heir, a direct descendant of Patrick Henry. And there was no one else there, and we received a tremendous one-on-one personal tour of Red Hill. If you haven't had the chance to explore it, I encourage you to. On the eve now of the 250th anniversary of 1776, he gave me this little sheet of paper. And so, in memory of Mr. Patrick Henry, who we have a portrait in our lobby of, who was a very famous Virginia lawyer, and I had the occasion of visiting his law office, his final law office, which was right next to his home there in Red Hill. And the descendant, Patrick Henry Jolly, gave me this sheet of paper. And I just thought it would be interesting to hear the three quotes that this descendant thought, look, this man spoke for a living. He spoke for decades. But here are three little quotes that he thought were important enough to pull out and hand to visitors when he spends his month at Red Hill. And he apparently spends every March there. So if you get up to Red Hill in March, you might actually see him. So, three quotes. You ready? In honor of the upcoming 250th anniversary of 1776. All right, first one. The battle, sir, is not to the strong alone. It is to the vigilant, the active, the brave. Besides, sir, we have no election. If we were base enough to desire it, it is now too late to retire from the contest. There is no retreat but in submission and slavery. Our chains are forged. Their clanking may be heard on the plains of Boston. The war is inevitable, and let it come. I repeat, sir, let it come. It is in vain to extenuate the matter. Gentlemen may cry, peace, peace, but there is no peace. The war is actually begun. The next gale that sweeps from the north will bring to our ears the clash of resounding arms. Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand we here idle? What is that, gentlemen, wish? What would they have? Is life so dear or peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. For I know not what course others may take. But as for me, give me liberty or give me death. And that was given at the Second Virginia Convention, March 23rd, 1775. And it was about on the 250th anniversary, the week prior to the 250th anniversary of that speech, that I actually met the descendant. And then he, that same anniversary, gave that speech at St. John's Church in Churchill, where this was originally spoken. If you've never seen it done, they can do it much better than I did, I promise you. Every Sunday in the summer at St. John's Church at 1:30, and I think there's another afternoon time, you can sign up and see it reenacted every Sunday. And it's a great tourist event. If you have folks from out of town, try it. I think you'll like it. Even the kids will like it. All right, second of three, number two. This, and as an estate planning attorney, I find this very interesting. This was a comment that Patrick Henry wrote in his will. And as an estate planning attorney that does wills and trusts every day, day in, day out, I found that interesting. After a life of service, what did he put in his will? And here's a paragraph. Whether America's independence will prove a blessing or a curse will depend on the use our people make of the blessings which a gracious God hath bestowed on us. If they are wise, they will be great and happy. But if they are of a contrary character, they will be miserable. Righteousness alone can exalt them as a nation. Reader, whoever thou art, remember this, and in thy sphere practice virtue thyself and encourage it in others. Very interesting. As part of the Constitution and its ratification, Patrick Henry was instrumental in ensuring that the Bill of Rights was adopted in consideration for approving and ratifying the actual Constitution. And so with those rights come responsibilities. And in Patrick Henry's words, that was virtue. And so without virtue, freedom can lead to chaos. And so I think those were very wise words indeed. Final one. And this was written in the descendant, Patrick Henry Jolly writes, this was passed down to Patrick Henry from his uncle. So Patrick Henry's family famously came to the United States from Scotland. And so his uncle passed this to Patrick Henry, and Patrick Henry then made sure it was instilled in his descendants, and it came to me. Here we are. To be true and just in all my dealings, to bear no malice nor hatred in my heart, to keep my hands from picking and stealing, not to covet other man's goods, but to learn and labor truly to get my own living, to do my duty in that state of life unto which it shall please God to call me. And so isn't that a lovely thing? The self-reliance. Of course, we need community, and we rely on community and the support of others to see us through tough times and even just everyday living. We need others. But it's also incumbent on us to realize that others need us. And so we must give as we are given. As we go out in the world, there's 1,000 things we're given. Roads and air and water and food and shelter and jobs. But we also have to give. And I think there was a nice awareness of that passed down to his family. In the final decade of Patrick Henry's life, he was asked by George Washington to be Secretary of State, ambassador to this, come be a congressman, come do this. He turned it down because he had a family and he needed to shore up his balance sheet after basically giving his 30s and 40s and 50s to his country. And so his savings were paltry, and he had to rebuild his savings to support his family. That proved prescient because he died in his early 60s at Red Hill, at a grave you can visit, and I encourage you to, where we are all the inheritors of a tremendous gift of freedom, and it's our duty to not only respect that and cherish it, but also to understand what it means and pass it on. Happy 250th to everyone. And happy July 4th. That's coming up next week. Thank you.